You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. Miss Cassania, Michael Hassler, Moanep, welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Bad Lefty, welcome. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Bo Z, welcome. Welcome back. A couple of announcements. Tomorrow there is no stream, folks. Don't forget. Don't forget that tomorrow there's no stream. We will be seeing each other on Monday. Echo Resto Dragon, welcome. Folks, before we get started, the usual disclosures. Thank you all for being here. If you want to support the channel, keep doing what you're doing. Like the stream. Subscribe on the YouTube. If you're on Twitch, follow if you haven't done so. If you want to support the channel directly, consider checking out the merch store and hitting that exclamation mark tip. Join the Discord if you want to keep up with the channel. Don't forget something that's not happening. That's anxiety inducing. Don't worry. I'm just saying, if you come in to the chat tomorrow and you're wondering why the stream hasn't started, that's why. Sub to the Substack. Yeah, nothing ever happens. Including the stream. Including the stream. I liked it bigly. It's the only way you like stuff on YouTube. It's the best way of liking. Gotta like it bigly. Gotta like it bigly. Ah. That's a nice emote. Alright, folks, let's get started. Would it be a good thing if YouTube added a double thumbs up like Netflix? That's a good question. Looney Tunes, welcome. But hey, we'll have Bad Hasbara and Lance of the Surfs in place of ADT tomorrow. There you go. Or a 5-star system like Netflix used to have. That would be interesting, right? Because like you are rating content, right? You're saying that you like this. You're saying that you like this content, or you don't like this content if you hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down. So That is a good question. If they should have like a star system. True. Good for some, bad for others, as always in life. Alright, folks. Let's get started.
A lot of Americans don't know enough about politics to have a coherent political ideology.
True! Netflix used to have a place to input reviews for a long time, but I digress. Ha! I didn't even remember that was a thing.
And many are just too lazy to bother to inform themselves to form one, so as a result, we end up with an electorate that makes decisions based mostly on vibes as opposed to actual policies, which is the whole point of politics. And because of this, we often get a lot of wave riders who jump on bandwagons and change their beliefs based on cultural trends or electoral outcomes, which then leads to pundits, celebrities, and corporations changing with the culture in order to stay relevant. For example, during the George Floyd protests back in 2020, corporations like Target tried to become more sensitive to racial justice issues and adopted DEI policies as a result. But after Donald Trump's victory in 2024, they sensed that the public kind of soured on racial justice issues and dropped their DEI program. But just months later, the trend is already reversing again, and after losing money due to boycotts since they dropped their DEI program, Target CEO Brian Cornell requested a meeting with Al Sharpton to signal his openness potentially to reverse the reversal of their...
What? Capitalism only? Capitalists are only chasing the money? They don't actually care about these, like, important issues like racial justice? What? I forgot to say hi to the Poggers affectionately. We just watched this on the stairs before dying laughing on Jordan Peterson being stupid as hell again. What? Jordan Peterson's in this? Oh, man. We're in for a treat, I guess. All right. We're in for a treat. Brace yourselves.
DEI policy. Back and forth, back and forth. It's a microcosm of what happens broadly in the United States. And just to kind of give you all a sense of where we're going, in 2028, we'll all be woke SJWs with septum piercings and blue hair. But by 2032, we're scheduled to be fascist again. So
True. Winnie Rose, welcome. Backpedaling the backpedal. Yep. Was he ever not? True. I'm still unsure if poggers is actually a bad word. I only know it from Sam, and I assume it's not because of that. No, poggers is good. Poggers is very good. Like, chat, it's usually an affirmation. Chat is poggers. Right? Ooh, that's a loud thunder. Okay, we gotta get moving, folks. Let's get moving, because there's a storm outside. They have the same glasses. Oh, in another video, he's talking to Joe Rogan. Gotcha. Also, of course, the 90s game Pog and people who play it. I know of Pog. No, I'm thinking Pong, not Pog. What is Pog? Yeah, Poggers is play of the game. That's what it stands for in internet nomenclature.
we'll take out our septum rings and put on the camo and start saying slurs again. But I've got to say, the worst offenders of this vibes-based politics...
Hamas is using their Chinese woke weather control orbital laser made in Russia again. Yep. Thank you, ADT. I'm too old to know the new form of Pog. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, Pog is good. Okay, Pog is good. Like, you guys are Poggers. They do have the same glasses. Mike has taste, okay? And every single video, like, look, I don't, okay? And I don't pretend to have taste, but like, chat, look at me, okay? I'm wearing this like off-colored purple sweater and a t-shirt, okay? That's my sense of style, okay? And taste. The 90s game was like a card game, but with chips. Oh, Pogs! Yes! 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 Okay, I remember this. I never got any as a kid. I never got any as a kid. But yes, now it's coming back to me. Yeah, and the Tim Pool style hat. Yeah. That comment alone is enough for me to just yeet this beanie into the trash.
Politics, which I hate, who leaned a little bit too hard
I'm just kidding. I love this beanie. Tim Pool's not going to change that.
into the opposite direction once things changed, has got to be so-called comedians. Not all of them, but a lot of them. See, when you're filthy rich and all of your material needs are met, you've got to make up things to be mad about to give your life purpose. For a lot of these comedians, the woke mind virus is their biggest boogeyman because it gives them permission to believe that people aren't laughing at their jokes, not because they're washed up or unfunny or out of touch, but because people just get offended too easily these days. So for someone like Bill Maher, for example, slaying the woke beast becomes your entire life purpose. It becomes your biggest political issue.
Yeah, I know. Bill Maher is like primary suspect number one when it comes to this kind of stuff. Yeah, this is not a pool stream. I remember Pogs also 80s baby, 90s kid. 90s. Yeah, that's about as much as I'll go. I would pay good money for Mike to wear a Jack Skellington beanie. Now where's my coffee can of silver?
Because, you know, that's the way that you can reclaim your former glory. And since there's nothing else to care about for you, since
If I had an extra Jack Skellington beanie, I would send it to him.
you already won the game of capitalism, you've got to have something be your little pet project, so why not make it that? So, you know, they start punching left, and eventually they start to fash Max in order to cultivate a following of right-wingers who will clap like seals at anything that they say, so long as they reinforce their pre-existing political views. You know, we saw this with not just Bill Maher, but also Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz. All of these so-called comedians are former liberals who switched teams recently and jumped on the Trump train. And I want to talk about all three of them because...
Really? I honestly, I haven't seen Andrew Schultz's material in a minute. So, yeah. I didn't know that, Bozy. Unfortunately, I was not like a big like car guy. I did not know that. You learn something new every day.
They misread the room, apparently, and rode the current wave a little bit too hard, and it's already leading to backlash for them. And hilariously, the guys who are supposed to be doing the roasting are now getting roasted themselves. So let's start with Andrew Schultz. I'll admit that I don't really know much about him, aside from the fact that he had Trump on his podcast last year, and he's...
Really? Wow. Yeah, I have no idea who... You ask me who Andrew Schultz is, and I'm just like, who? Bipedal meatbag, welcome. They still think liberals on the left. Yep.
He's a Joe Rogan orbiter, and he has a mustache that makes him look like a pedophile. But in a recent episode of Trigonometry, which is the dumbest name for a show ever, he explained...
I can't stand that show, man. Trigonometry with, what's this guy's name? Constantine? And the other guy? Oh, my God. Insufferable. Insufferable. If you've ever watched Trigonometry, Godspeed for even being able to watch it. It's difficult to watch. Okay. It's mostly lazy. It's mostly lazy racist crowd work. You're not missing out. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. That's basically like every single right wing comedian, right? And then they try to pass it off as like comedy. Like, no, bro, it's just jokes. Is we learning calculus but not trig? I never learned trigonometry. Like I've never learned. I never got that advanced in math. Like if you were to tell me to do calculus right now, like nope, nope.
And why he decided to jump ship.
Are we back? Are we back? We're back. All right. That was I don't know if you guys heard that. Okay. I don't know if you guys heard that, but that lightning was right there. I literally saw the lightning. Okay. It was literally right there. At least type I have to pay respects. Who is this? Oh, two numbskulls. Okay. Two numbskulls. That's what this says. Actually, three numbskulls. The lag was no, literally, like the lightning was right behind the back. Like I saw it from my window. It literally landed like right there. Yeah, please stay safe after hopping off. Yeah, I'm gonna stay right here. I'm gonna stay home. From our POV, you just froze for 10 seconds and then we're back. Okay, that's good actually. It just took out the internet for like a second, like it blipped. Glad to know what it was, but at least you're safe. Yeah, I'm staying right here. I'm not going nowhere. Oh my goodness. Sheesh. Constantine and Timu John Oliver. Now that you said that, it cannot be unseen. Did you get a UPS? No, the internet has a UPS. The internet router upstairs has a UPS, but for some reason, it's not charging because the last time I had a power outage, it didn't hold charge. So I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, I do have a UPS up here. Downstairs, I don't. But the laptop will run off the battery, right? The laptop will run off the battery until I can sign off. If the worst happens, okay, where we lose power, then the laptop will remain online until we can sign off. Hey, PB, Lee Spanner, welcome. I have a surge protection brick from the PC. Yep. I think the power brick that this is on has surge protector, like where all the stuff is. But like, you know, if the power goes out, the power goes out. I'll like hook up to the backup battery and be able to hold it just so that I can let everyone know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Anyways, I passed it, but I didn't really learn it. My teacher was a chauvinist, but not all his fault. Yeah, I'm not a big math person. So what's your take on the Senate? What about the Senate? Anyways, let's rewind so we can kind of catch this up.
And become a Trump supporter. And if this right here doesn't represent vibes-based politics, I don't know what does. Let's watch.
The sides switched so much. You know, when I was younger, like Democrats were cool. They were getting their dick sucked in the office. They were like, right? They were like supportive of like hip hop music. They said, do whatever you want. Like, we don't want to be in your bedroom. They were cool with gay people. Like, it was cool to be a Democrat. Now, conservatives got 3 baby mamas. The president got 3 baby mamas. He's getting pussy left and right. Right? He's cool. He's the one saying, say whatever the fuck you want. So now conservatives have become Democrats. So I don't think I've changed.
What? What are you talking about? Conservatives have become Democrats? Because Democrats were cool? And by cool, you mean like weirdos? What are you talking about? People still listen to Bill Maher, unfortunately. Andrew Schultz can't even connect his beard to his sideburns yet.
I just like the dudes that get pussy and say whatever they want. So it's you want me to be a Democrat again? Get some pussy. Tell me to say whatever I want.
That is disgusting. So like your politics, right? Like you do understand that like the Republicans are the ones that like shame women for having sex, right? I don't understand. Bro can't get laid and votes Republican to fix it. I mean, like, if your politics is like, okay, who like sleeps with other people the most? That's not politics, man. It just sounds like your politics is like misogyny. That's your ideology, man. Your ideology is misogyny, and you see women as objects and as points to collect because that's what matters to you. That's freaking. This guy is gross, man. Like, so far, everything I've learned about this guy it has been against my will. And I do not want to keep learning about this guy. He's saying Republicans are bigger pedos than now and therefore better than Dems. Who knows? Ladybug, welcome. It's totally enabling abuse and diminishment of women. Yeah, that's his ideology, 100%. 100%. You mean Dems are chasing Republicans to the right in general? That's true. Yeah, I mean, like, but just say that. Right, like that's not like difficult to say. That's just I agree with that, but that's not what he's saying. That's not what he's talking about. Carpet Packs, welcome. And here I thought my ideology of I go who will ever pay for my surgeries is too simplistic. No, I mean, like, this dude's ideology is just straight up misogyny. Like, that's it. Like, there's no other politics besides that. And, like, it kind of makes sense as to why he would turn more to the right, right? It's like, yeah, Dems were not misogynistic enough, right? They stopped being misogynistic. They stopped I want to go back to the good old days where Democrats were more misogynistic, like Bill Clinton, a predator. What?
I'm there.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure how to respond to that, aside from just saying, wow. I almost feel incapacitated by his stupidity. Like
it's just gross, man. It's just gross. Like who talks like that? I mean, like, seriously, what normal person talks like that? Jesus Christ. A person with a very different idea of what normal means. Yeah, seriously. Seriously. Like, yeah, man, my politics, I will vote for the person who, like, gets more, like, women points, okay? That's what my ideal politician is. A predator who only racks up women points because they see them as objects or as coins to collect, I guess. Or like, like an achievement bar. Like that's what they see that's what they see women as, like an achievement bar that you have to like fill up, right? Like an Xbox achievement, right? I need to forage for some food and take care of y'all. No problem. Heat, how's it going? Welcome.
I lost IQ points hearing him speak. And I had to look up how old he was. And this man is 41 years old. This is a middle-aged man whose politics is probably less mature than a junior high schooler's. I mean, this is why the rest of the world thinks that we're dumbasses in America, because that's somebody who we apparently look up to. I genuinely think that somebody who was literally lobotomized could form a more cohesive political view than that dumbass. What are you supposed to say about this?
But it's not really that incohesive. If you really think about it, right? Like, of course you would pivot to the right, and of course you would pivot to Republicans with that kind of view, because like the crux of it is misogyny, right? So like, yeah, of course you would look for the most misogynistic party. So like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. There is a method to his madness. I'm just me. Welcome.
I mean, I don't know if this is the average American, but they're not too far off, given the results of the last election, right? I'm going to vote based on the president that's getting pussy. Makes sense to me. The fuck? But I mean...
Well, yeah, because it's not like... Because it's the fact that he sees women as, like, property, as property and, like, as tokens, right? To collect as trophies. Like, that's why he likes Trump, right? Mike is the best aside from ADT. Of course, of course. Bad Empanada is the best. Someone get him into that studio. No, I'm not a big fan of Bad Empanada. I'm
the kind of shit that happens when you don't know shit, yet you feel inclined to weigh in on politics. And this is somebody who interviewed the president last year. Folks, we are fucking doomed as a country. And I love how he feels like he can say whatever he wants again, because the right has popularized the use of slurs once again. That's enough for him.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
like,
enough to
that's
say,
it.
well, we're back, baby. We can say whatever we want. Never mind the fact that Trump's FCC is threatening to penalize news networks critical of him. Never mind the fact that students like Rumisa Ozturk have been arrested and subsequently denied bond because she co-wrote an op-ed urging her school to follow student resolutions to acknowledge the Palestinian genocide and divest from companies tied to Israel. That's why she was detained, but free speech is back, baby. Never mind the fact that
Yeah, like, again, like, free speech doesn't mean free speech. Free speech means the freedom of consequence to say whatever I want, and what I want to say is just a bunch of slurs. Right? That's literally what they mean by free speech. Right? Like, that's what it's at the heart of every one of these like so-called free speech warriors. Like, that's what it is, right? I just want to be able to say slurs and nobody can, like, say anything to me, right? Because, you know, free speech or whatever. Like, they're referencing when they talk about free speech. Like, they've never heard of the First Amendment, only the Second. They don't even believe in the Second Amendment either, to be honest. They don't believe in it. As much as they claim, and as much as they claim, like, that's like their golden, like, thing that they absolutely care about. They don't believe in the Second Amendment either, because, like, the moment you involve minorities, right, they immediately are like, well, we probably shouldn't let those people have guns, right? Like, for example, trans people, they say that trans people, they've made this argument that that trans people shouldn't have guns because they think, the right wing thinks that because being trans is a mental illness, therefore they shouldn't have guns. Right? So, like, all of a sudden, the Second Amendment just goes out the window, right? Bobby, welcome. Reminds me of that one Hakeem video response to PragerU. Do you believe in free speech? No. Yeah, no, these people do not believe in free speech. Right. They just want to say slurs. They just want to be a-holes. They just want to be hateful, bigoted people and not get in trouble for it. Correct. That's exactly it.
Mahmoud Khalil, a permanent resident, just missed the birth of his son because he's been detained for more than a month over his peaceful participation in Colombia's anti-genocide protests. There's also Masen Madawi, another Colombia protester who was on the cusp of becoming a citizen until he was detained by ICE because he participated in Colombia's anti-genocide protests as well.
And remember, like, these people said that, like, oh, we just want to get, we just want to curb illegal immigration, right? We just want to curb illegal immigration. Well, that's not true because they're going after very much legal immigration. So they don't believe, like, anyone who tells you that this is about illegal immigration is lying to you. Is lying to you, or I don't know, just lives under a rock, I guess. The one time when whites were against Second Amendment was when Black Panthers were exercising their rights. Yep. Ronald Reagan. Big proponent of gun control. When all of a sudden black people decided to exercise their rights. So, like, again, it doesn't matter. Like, these people don't believe in anything other than power, right? And, like, the Constitution and the rights afforded to us by the Constitution is only, like, they only pretend to care about it. It only serves as, like, a thin veneer, right? But, like, as soon as it serves its purpose, like, they don't care fundamentally about the Constitution and the rights that it affords us, like the right to due process or the right to free speech, any of that. They don't care. It just, as soon as it's inconvenient and as soon as it doesn't serve their ends for power and authoritarianism, it gets yeeted out the window. Well, to be fair, power is the only true currency on this cursed planet. Right, but, like, they want power to centralize power because they're authoritarian fascists. That's what they want. Versus like more left-leaning people want power to be able to manage and govern, because that's what you're supposed to do with power. You're supposed to govern. And that means managing a society. That means making sure people have healthcare. That means making sure people have housing. People have food. People have education.
Well, and while these state-sanctioned kidnappings take place, the State Department is talking about how they're championing and protecting freedom of speech. So we're living in a version of George Orwell's 1984, but free speech is alive and well because Andrew Schultz feels like he won't get much pushback if he uses slurs, I guess.
Right. That's it. Like, that's literally it.
Here you go, miss.
Like, that's literally it. Like, I want to be able to say slurs and, like, you know, do, like, incredibly racist comedy bits and not get in trouble. Gotta take care of the people or else they'll eat the rich. Yep. They're robbing us of our civil rights, which they've done for a long time, but now it's more serious than ever. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, now it's more... now it's, like, very, very... in our face, and it's happening at a very alarming rate, where now, like, even citizens aren't really safe. Scary. Received a work-related call. My person cell number. I don't use this number anywhere at work. That's unsettling. Max Stirner had interesting thoughts on power and rights. I need to read up on that. Jet, welcome.
I'm voting for the giant asteroid in 2028. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it doesn't matter that Trump is brazenly authoritarian. That brazen authoritarianism is okay because he thinks that Trump, a stupid, sweaty slob who pays for pussy, is cool. So everything is fine now. That's how he's going to base his politics.
Yes. Because
on
he's...
who gets pussy.
Because his ideology is misogyny. So yeah, it makes perfect sense as to why you would want someone like Trump, right? Like, it makes perfect sense. And because, like, he's probably a little bit on the wealthier side. Like, it's not the policies that Trump is enacting, because let's be honest, he looks white and probably is white, and benefits, and he's not going to suffer under any of these policies. Bro just wanted the go ahead and green light his bigotry and hate. That's it. That's literally it. Honestly, the word authoritarian gets thrown around too much nowadays, but we got to be more specific. I mean, it can't be any more specific than Trump, right? Like, it's literally like, you look up authoritarianism and what it means, which literally there's only like one definition, right? There's only one definition, and I think colloquially, like, we all understand what authoritarian means. You can put Trump like square in that.
Truly surpassed idiocracy levels of stupid in this country, and I get that it's a cliche to bring that up at this point, but it's so true. Now, thankfully, we don't have to feel like we're crazy listening to this troglodyte, because people online reacted the same way, and they were not kind to this man. For example, this person writes, 41 years old, and his politics center around who's getting pussy and saying cool shit. What a loser. By the way, this comment had more than 100,000 likes on Twitter, of all places. So when the Nazi platform agrees with you that somebody has gone too far in their stupidity, you know that's a sign that society is starting to change again. This person says, this is not a person who is interested in actual politics, lol. His worldview is derived from an early 2000s airbrushed t-shirt of SpongeBob SquarePants holding a stack of money. This must hit so hard if you don't know anything about anything. He's basically a child who never grew up, who idolizes adults that act like irresponsible children. Then he advocates for these people to be in charge of the rest of us. Absolute fucking loser. We need tariffs on podcast equipment. And
True.
as a podcaster,
Hey, whoa. we need tariffs on podcast equipment. Look, man. Okay, listen. Okay, we might want to just like. Can we just hash this out for a second before we go saying stuff like that? Okay. Can we hash this out before we start, doing stuff too rash, before we make rash decisions, okay? Troglodyte is a fun word. Bueller. My point is authoritarianism comes in flavors, in a lot of kinds of kinds and flavors. Trump just happens to be a shitty flavor. I mean, like, yeah, but like, but it's authoritarian, right? Like, does that make sense? Manju Misty, welcome. Paid up the tariffs. No!
Myself, I second that last comment. But I mean, that was just a small sample of the people shitting on him, because there was a lot of people, basically the entire internet was dunking on him, and ironically, people use the slurs that he seemingly thinks it's okay to use again to describe him for what he said there. So, what goes around comes around. But I'm happy that he was roasted for this, and I genuinely hope that he sees the comments of people making fun of him and he feels bad about himself, because he deserves that. And the fact that that kind of stupidity is already being ridiculed shows us that the vibe is already starting to shift again, which is your sign to all of the wave riders that, it's time to go woke again, friends. Now, speaking of vibe shifts, Joe Rogan, who leaned into the hard right, he recently realized that he's not really liking what he signed up for, and to his credit, he denounced Donald Trump's destruction of the Constitution, although he did so without naming Donald Trump, of course, because why do that? Nonetheless, let's listen.
I mean,
the problem with things that are going in a radical direction,
it just like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, if you can't be bothered to be like, yep, and Trump's the problem here, then like, what's the point? Like, why? Also, too late, man. You were big. You were a massive voice, and are a massive voice for the far right. Okay. Joe Rogan is a massive voice for the far right and the capital class. It's that simple. Trump is reactionary, oligarchic plutocrat. I agree. Wolfglen subscribing with a tier 1 sub. Thank you. What could go wrong? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yellow King subscribing with a tier 1 sub for 37 months. Wolfglen at 6. Heat resubscribing for 11. For 45 months. Jesus Christ. Thank you all for your support. I appreciate it. Y'all are coming in hot today. Thank you.
and then there's an overcorrection. So the overcorrection is lack of due process. The overcorrection is like round them all up.
Yeah, but like, Joe, what did you think? Okay, what did you think those mass deportations now signs were at the RNC?
Ship them to jail. Like, that's like some things that you say when you're not thinking things through. Like, what do you do about all the criminals? Take them all, fucking send them to El Salvador.
Yeah.
What about due process? No, fuck that. But here's the problem with fuck that. What if you are an enemy of, let's not say any current president. Let's pretend we got a new president, totally new guy in 2028. And this is a common practice now of just rounding up gang members with no due process and shipping them to El Salvador. You're a gang member. No, I'm not. Prove it. What? I gotta go to.
Just to be clear, Joe Rogan is correct. However, We knew this stuff. We knew this stuff beforehand, man. This is not new. We knew that this is like how he operates since his first term. Like to pretend like, oh, now it's you know, now we're going too far on the other side, man. You know, because of those radical leftists, dude. You know, like now we got, look what the radical leftists did now, man. They caused the radical right, and now we're here, bro. Yeah, okay, dude. Like, whatever. I'm glad as I am that Joe Rogan is on the right side of this issue. He's still a windsock. Yeah, I mean, like, but it's like a little, what is it? A dollar short and a day late, or a day late and a dollar short. I feel like Trump should be impeached and jailed. His attorneys disbarred. I mean, like, if he's lucky, like, that's it, right? Trump should have been jailed before. Like, Trump shouldn't even have been involved in any of these elections. He should have been jailed. Rogan is just catering to everyone to make money, occasionally throwing his own opinion into the mix. Yeah, but I mean, like, he's catering to the right. Like, that's where the money is.
To court. No due process.
That's
Right?
dangerous, Joe.
That's
dangerous.
dangerous. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. We got to be careful that we don't become monsters while we're fighting monsters. I think due process exists.
But like, and then he immediately like, is like, yeah, dude, you know, the left, those are the real monsters. So we got to make sure we don't become like them. I see him more of a tanker ship, and he's been tapping the brakes and initiating a turn recently.
for a reason, and the reason is it is horrific for someone to be accused of something they didn't do, be imprisoned for crimes they didn't commit, and then live in a cell, live in a cage.
Okay, well, man, then maybe like you should have been like, I don't know, a voice against Trump like years ago during the first administration, during the second time he ran, during the third time that he ran. Yeah, 3 years ago. Also sued for his personal wealth. I think Elon's wealth should be expropriated. To be fair, mainstream liberals are easy to grift on too. Well, that's true. I've always seen him as a hollow and changing his opinion to match whoever's speaking in front of him, hence the windsock. Ha!
Each with a bunch of
people who did commit shit.
Here it is, Benjamin Franklin. It's better 100 guilty persons should escape than one innocent person should suffer. That is wisdom.
Yeah.
That has survived hundreds of years. It's incredibly accurate, and it is the foundation of freedom. Like, we have to make sure that these people are actually guilty, otherwise we become monsters.
Well, yeah, except like you spent your entire like political capital making sure that people on the right win by saying like the most insane stuff. Like, kids are being told they can use litter boxes in school, right? Like, Joe Rogan, this is your fault, man. There's some burden that you're shouldering for this. Kirkenstein's monster, welcome. Amazing he's just figuring this out. Who told him? The blind leading the blind. I mean, like, he's part of the reason why we're here. He's part of the reason why we're here. People like Joe Rogan, okay? People like Joe Rogan we get that zombie away from the background. Hey, MIDI doctors, look at that. Welcome. I grew up as a huge Hulk Hogan fan and Joe Rogan fan, and I'm very disappointed with this timeline. This is the bad timeline, I'm afraid.
I wholeheartedly agree. The problem is that when Trump was running on mass deportations, many of us warned you this would happen, but you didn't listen. You called us hysterical and claimed that we were just lying about Donald Trump because we were woke or some bullshit.
Right, and like that's the problem, right? And he still refers to the left as monsters.
Listen, it was obvious to anybody with functioning brain cells that you can't round up millions of people without gross violations of their human rights and civil liberties. And it's not like Trump didn't broadcast his intent to go after innocent people, because he did. He did this on the campaign trail. But I mean, the question is, why would anybody roast Joe Rogan for that good take? And the answer is because even though he knows what Trump is doing is wrong, it's embarrassing that he still lacks the conviction and the spine to call him out by name. You don't have to bring up a hypothetical president in the future to describe a situation that might happen when it's already happening right now and it's not hypothetical. And former fans who dominate his subreddit now, by the way, but now hate him, pointed this out, and they also joked about how jarring it was to see Joe Rogan, of all people, make sense again. Spinelessness aside, this person asks, is this AI? Because this makes sense. I can almost hear the old Joe Rogan in this clip. He may still be in there somewhere. He was literally slobbering over Trump a week ago after Trump had already ignored the courts with regard to due process and talked about deporting U.S. citizens to a foreign gulag. And Joe will always base his morals on which way it flows. Exactly. People are outraged about the deportations now, so he is too.
Yep.
Except he's still not calling out the admin. Quote, let's not say any current president is a sentence that came out of his mouth. Let's imagine a scenario where this happens in 2028 under another president instead of calling out the one currently doing it. What a spineless piece of shit. And listen, good on all of his former fans for calling him out, because you don't get to cowardly condemn a situation that you helped to create without naming names. You platform this president and his running mate and let him spew lies on your program with no fucking pushback. Not to mention, you've been licking his boots ever since then and chumming it up with him at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, so like, I mean, really? I think the timeline shifted around the time Iron Sheik died. Maybe we need Jonathan Majors to figure it out. Too soon? I didn't get the reference.
So one singular rant about
Yeah, we want other people to be happy. So monstrous. All right, it's a deep cut MCU Loki joke. Oh.
due process isn't going to undo the harm that you helped to cause, Joe. But, you know, he's very clearly realizing that he rode the Trump wave a little bit too hard, whereas other comedians like Bill Maher seemingly don't think that they rode it hard enough. And I say this because months after the pro-Trump trend already started to fizzle out and reverse, Bill Maher decided to hop on Trump's lap to ride his dick after everybody else was starting to get off. And even though he claims to have many disagreements with Donald Trump, he also has a lot of agreements with Donald Trump. Not to mention, Trump was super duper cordial.
He was the multiverse master in the MCU before canceled for SA, I think. Gotcha.
With him at their private dinner that they had a couple of weeks ago.
There's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every minute. I'd never seen him laugh in public, but he does, including at himself. And it's not fake. Believe me, as a comedian of 40 years, I know a fake laugh when I hear it. At one point, we were walking through his it is an amazing tour of the whole house. And I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it must have been something with the 2020 election, because I know he used the word lost. And I distinctly remember saying, wow, I never thought I'd hear you say that. He didn't get mad?
Wow, look how normal this fascist is. Look how normal this fascist is as we get like hurled into like authoritarianism. Look how normal, dude. He's not like, you know, the guy on TV. You know, he's just a normal guy, right?
He's much more self-aware than he lets on in public.
Oh, so it's all
Look,
good.
I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists because
Oh, but it doesn't do me. It literally doesn't do me any good if like the fascism is still happening, right? Like I don't care that like behind the scenes he's actually like a normal person and doesn't believe that the election was stolen, and like maybe he's not like an actual like a literal Hitler. It doesn't do me any good, okay? It doesn't literally do me any good when there's like lives being destroyed and people being disappeared into foreign concentration camps. I don't care. Like I legitimately don't care. Like that was completely unnecessary, unless your goal is to like kind of sane wash. Is to kind of sane wash and this administration. 1 year ago, he was warning against fascism. Yeah, and here we are. Hitler loved his dog Blondie, so what? Exactly. Like this is exactly like Bill Maher in like the 1930s or 1930s. Yeah. Going like, yeah, you know, I was talking with like Hitler and like he was showing me his dog and like he was a big like he's really into animals and he loves his dog. You know, I'm just saying like I'm just taking it as a positive that this person exists. Like, what? Dan anonymously welcome. I'm sure Hitler was nice to his guests. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I just, you know, just taking it positive. You know, I took a stroll with Hitler, and you know, we talked about his fervent views on animal rights or whatever. But like, you know, I just want to, you know, I'm just taking this as a positive that, you know, this person exists, bro. Okay, dude.
everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy.
Now he goes on and on.
Like, who cares? Like, why did he feel the need to even mention that? The important stuff is what's happening. Right? Like, not how he treated you for one dinner. That is irrelevant. Okay? I liked him for his anti-Bush stance, but now he's just a hollow, flaccid windsock of a man. Yep. Maybe it was a slow-moving coup. I don't know, and I don't care. Bro's a sham. Yep. Yeah, Hitler would never gas the dog. He loves him that much. Live shelters only. I mean, no, that's actually true. Like, he was, like, oddly enough into, like, animal rights or something like that. But, like, that's not what's, like, the focus. That's not what's important about Hitler. The important about stuff about Hitler is that he's a fucking Nazi. Remember that time Cenk was praising the Orange Man administration for Elon responding to one of his tweets or something? Feels like that. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you know, this is the most transparent administration. Like, look how they're taking me seriously. And, like, we're having a conversation. Bro, are you serious right now? Didn't Hitler have Blondie used as a cyanide pill test subject by the end? I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me that, like, even, you know, it wouldn't surprise me. But, like, according to his, like, philosophies or whatever, it doesn't mean that he actually practiced it. But yeah, apparently he was like into animal rights. But, like, again, that's not the point. That's not the issue. Right? Like, why would you go out and be like, oh yeah, well, like, you know, like, he was just like a normal guy. And we had dinner and, like, everything was all good. Right? And, like, the guy that, you know, is on TV talking about like immigrants poisoning the blood of our country. You know, I didn't see him that night. You know. Kanye said Hitler wasn't all bad. He did. Lefties wouldn't dream of inviting me on their shows to discuss policy, meanwhile ignores invitations from Sansi to debate for his own good, okay? For his own good. Maybe he'll get convicted of treason. Who knows? Bill Maher is a member of PETA.
On and continues to glaze up Trump for around 12 minutes or so, saying that he agrees with him on some issues like ethnic cleansing and
He's a pedophile.
Gaza and transphobia and DEI going too far, but he was also able to vocalize his criticisms. For example, he didn't think that Trump should have withdrawn from the Iran nuclear agreement, and Trump didn't get mad. How merciful of him. You know, although he didn't bring up the destruction of the Constitution and due process and the people getting disappeared, although he was sure to tell the audience that he didn't agree with those things. So, you know, they know he definitely hasn't sold out because he has some disagreements, even though he didn't choose to vocalize them when he had the ear of the president.
Right, and also, like, when it mattered, right? And also when it mattered. Kanye was also about streetlights. Yep, indeed. I visually confirmed that is a thing. Yes.
Person who's doing these things, but to his credit, he did apparently confront Donald Trump about his plan to run for a third term, and here's how that went.
I'm not going to pull my punches that presidents get to propose a third term for themselves.
Bro, you already pulled your punches. You literally spent like minutes glazing him, saying that he was a normal person behind the scenes. Right? Like we can dispense with that. You don't have to like try to pretend, Bill, okay? As old man punches don't pack a punch anymore. Don't pack much anymore. Anyways, Redolent Thought has a great Bill Maher story. Charlize Theron and Sean Penn ditched him because he was trying to be a jerk. Because he was being a jerk and kept trying to show off his date who wasn't 21. That tracks. Honestly, that tracks. That tracks. I mean, given by the way that I don't know if you've seen that like interaction between him and children, but like that was very uncomfortable. Consider the source of Bill's version of normal as well, you know. That's the Giga Chat emoji. It looks differently on my restream chat. The Hawk 2 interview was awful too. Yep. Still hasn't mean Tiger Punch. I've never punched anyone before. Only in sport. Only in a controlled environment. I've never actually been in like a real fight.
He understood that, and without animus. That doesn't mean he's not going to...
Yeah, I was acting creepy around the kids. Yep. Martial arts, right? Yep.
Try to do it. At one point, I said to him, "You're scaring people." Do you really want to be scaring your own citizens so much? And I know now you're all saying, and what did he say to that? Honestly, I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Great. Thanks for telling us. I'm sure that
Like, again, that's literally useless information. Unless your goal is to just kind of sane wash, unless you just want to, like, unless your goal is to sane wash this whole thing, like, really, you are telling me that the answer to a quite an important question, by the way, like, hey man, aren't you like worried that you're scaring your own citizens? I would say that even as someone on the older side like Bill Maher, I would probably want to remember that or write that down. He does, yeah. So, like, come on. She needed a safe word. You're telling me that you don't remember that? Corn dogs are done. Nice.
whatever he told you, it was very reassuring. You know, it's not like since you had that dinner with him, he hasn't threatened to deport citizens, homegrowns, to a gulag in El Salvador. So I'm sure that whatever he said put your mind at ease. Listen, Bill Maher already admitted in that first clip that we watched that it doesn't matter what Trump said or who he was at that dinner. What matters is who he is on the world stage. And I agree. But even though Bill Maher said this, presumably to feign self-awareness, I don't think he actually internalized what that meant, because you heavily implied, Bill, that it was beneficial, that somewhere deep down within him, there's a nice person that exists. That doesn't matter. That is completely and utterly irrelevant.
Yep.
And the only reason why you think it matters is because he made you feel special. He wined and dined you and gave you a tour of the White House. And since you suffer from one of the worst cases of main character syndrome that I've ever seen, you know, that was enough to make you feel a little bit better, because at least you're special, right? You know, you're not going to get disappeared to a dungeon in El Salvador for criticizing him. Sure, everybody else may not be rich or privileged enough to meet with the president, but since Bill can, everything's copacetic in the country, apparently. And Bill is too self-centered to realize that he was being used by Trump for propaganda purposes. I mean, sure, he might go after him from time to time and express his disagreements, but now he'll always have a reminder of that pleasant time he had with him in his mind. You know, now I could show you the comments of people shitting on this smug, narcissistic prick, but some comedians actually chose to step up and do that job for the rest of us, like Larry David, who wrote a satirical guest essay in the New York Times mocking Bill Maher's dinner with Trump in a piece called My Dinner with Adolf, where he...
Nice. I understood that reference, Kirkenstein Monster.
writes, imagine my surprise when in the spring of 1939, a letter arrived at my house inviting me to dinner at the old chancellery with the world's most reviled man, Adolf Hitler. I had been a vocal critic of his on the radio from the beginning, pretty much predicting everything he was going to do on the road to dictatorship. No one I knew encouraged me to go. He's Hitler, he's a monster, but eventually I concluded that hate gets us nowhere. I knew I couldn't change his views, but we need to talk to the other side, even if it has invaded and annexed other countries and committed unspeakable crimes against humanity. This sounds like Cenk Uygur too, by the way.
True. He did.
Continues, he was wearing a tan suit with a swastika armband and gave me an enthusiastic greeting that caught me off guard. Frankly, it was a warmer greeting than I normally get from my parents, and it was accompanied by a slap on my back. I found the whole thing quite disarming. I joked that I was surprised to see him in a tan suit because if he wore that out, it would be perceived as unfear-like. That amused him to no end, and I realized I'd never seen him laugh before. Suddenly, he seemed so human. Here I was, prepared to meet Hitler, the one I'd seen and heard, the public Hitler, but this private Hitler was a completely different animal, and oddly enough, this one seemed more authentic, like this was the real Hitler. The whole thing had my head spinning. But
This is amazing. And they say comedy is dead.
But it wasn't just a one-way street. With the fear dominating the conversation, he was quite inquisitive and asked me a lot of questions about myself. I told him I had just gone through a brutal breakup with my girlfriend because every time I went someplace without her, she was always insistent that I tell her everything I talked about. I can't stand having to remember every detail of every conversation. Hitler said he could relate. He hated that too. 2 hours later, the dinner was over and the Fuhrer escorted me to the door. I'm so glad to have met you. I hope I'm no longer the monster you thought I was. I must say, Mein Fuhrer, I'm so thankful I came. Although we disagree on many issues, it doesn't mean that we have to hate each other. And with that, I gave him a Nazi salute and walked out into the night. Damn. Now, I am sure that Bill Maher is going to have something to say about that. I'm sure he'll accuse Larry David of going woke or being hysterical or some bullshit like that since he compared Trump to Hitler. But this analogy makes sense.
Yep.
And the point is that it doesn't matter that somebody had a pleasant interpersonal relationship with a dictator. It doesn't matter whether or not.
Yeah, like again, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Actually, say women aren't funny. Ah. I was just telling my mom the Larry story where he freed a man from a lifetime prison sentence like the night before he wrote this.
Any brutal dictator or genocidal war criminal is pleasant to be around, or a good friend or a good father. But by highlighting the human side of a monster, you become a tool of the monsters. You become a part of the machine that's chewing people up and spitting them out.
Wait, did I? Oh, okay. Sorry, folks. My freaking alerts are not going through. For some reason, it just alerted me that Wolfglen just resubscribed again. Even though this alert was the previous one. So yeah, sorry folks. Listen folks, thank you guys so much for your support. So again, I apologize, but thank you to the thank you for the subs to the 3 folks. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Trump would never humanize his victims in the way that Bill Maher humanized him. Till this day, the administration continues to call a wrongly deported man an MS-13 gang member when that's factually incorrect. So by using your platform to soften his image, you effectively become what you hated, Bill, which is a fascist. You know, as the saying goes, if there's a Nazi sitting at the dinner table with 10 other people, you have 11 Nazis at the table. But Larry David is not the only comedian to roast.
Correct. The machines are rising up. Nothing you can do about it.
Bill Maher, because Hugh Fink of Saturday Night Live wrote an op-ed for The Hill, and he took a different approach. Quote, there's a maxim that the difference between a comedian and a comic is that a comedian says funny things and a comic says things funny. Then there are clowns like Bill Maher. He traded his red nose for a big brown one the second he eagerly walked into President Donald Trump's gaudy white funhouse of deception. Maher, the comic who once fancied himself as a fearless political truth teller, is now wobbling under the weight of his own ego. His recent televised monologue, an extended love letter to his dinner with Trump, was less a political reflection than a highlight reel of self-flattery and unearned gravitas. In the end, Maher wasn't just played by Trump, he allowed himself to get strung up like a marionette, tossing out softball observations in exchange for the illusion of relevance. Maybe he wanted to be the courageous centrist who tames the beast. Instead, he was the rubber-nosed fool dancing for a Big Mac at the end of Trump's table. But in all fairness to Bill Maher, the vibes were probably so good at the table there. And it's not like Democrats that he supported for years ever bothered to invite him to the White House, and he is entitled to a visit. Not us, but since he's important, since he's Bill Maher, you know, he is entitled to a visit. So since somebody finally invited him to the visit that he's been entitled to, what are you going to do? You got to accept, right?
Yeah.
Listen, the fact that these comedians are already being ruthlessly roasted for their vibes-based bullshit politics, that right there is your indication that there's another cultural shift already underway just months into the second Trump term. Didn't take long, did it? See, in January, it felt like MAGA was on top of the world, and by April, they're already the laughing stock of the world again, and the people who hopped on the bandwagon because of the vibe shift already look like vapid fucking idiots. So I guess the moral of the story is to have an actual belief system that doesn't change with the direction of the wind.
Yep.
Believe in something, learn about the root causes of political problems in this country, and build upon that. I'll give you a starting place. Capitalism. You're not broke because of immigrants and trans people or wokeness. You're broke because oligarchs paid politicians to rig the economy against you. And they're getting richer at your expense.
Right, but like these people know that, right? The problem is that these people are more in line with the capital class interest, right, than they are with the working class. Four months, guys. Almost 4 months down. Yep.
And whenever you start to uncover the truth about this, they brainwash you again into thinking that somebody else is the real problem. Somebody else, usually with no money and no power, they're the reason why you're broke, not them. You'll never understand why things are so bad if you don't challenge yourself to understand the root causes of our country's problems and how capitalism dehumanizes all of us, and only a select few benefit from this economic system. So don't be a wave rider is what I'm saying, I guess. Otherwise, at some point, you're going to look as foolish as these comedians that we talked about today.
Woke mob.
Woke mob.
Woke mob.
Woke ideology.
Woke ideology.
Woke ideology.
Woke ideology.
Woke ideology.
True.
Woke test.
Woke ideology.
Woke Olympics.
Woke ideology.
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 Weaponized wokery.
Woke ideology.
Weaponized wokery. That's funny. To align with the working class, they need to accept the existence and value of immigrants and trans people, which Bill Maher does not. Like, he's actively like said and argued against trans people, and he pretends that he might care about immigrants, but he doesn't, because, you know, Trump is just like a normal dude. I was gonna start eating healthier today and immediately bought pizza and ice cream. Fair. It just keeps happening, folks. Yeah, put good money on that girls' b-ball game. You see how David Hogg wants the primary ineffective dens? I'm suddenly a fan. I mean, Godspeed. I didn't eat anything today. Publicly, I know a chaser when I see one. Dog speed. Oof, I'm starting to get hungry. It just keeps happening, folks. American citizens keep getting ensnared in Trump's immigration crackdown. This is not a mistake. This is kind of like a feature. A chaser. I'm just thinking of adult drinks right now. The Trump administration's disturbing trend of ensnaring American citizens with the immigration crackdown has shown no signs of stopping, with the latest incident involving a 19-year-old whose family said he was held in in the Gestapo detention center for 10 days. Okay, this is an American citizen This is an American citizen who was held in a ICE detention center for 10 days. Okay. And to pretend that this is okay, and to pretend that this is acceptable collateral damage, right? To like, you know, oh, well, you gotta break some eggs to make an omelet. This is just like disgusting. Okay. This is disgusting. The White House is trying to beat back allegations surrounding its April arrest and detention of Jose Hermosillo of Albuquerque, New Mexico. I mean, like, yeah, dude, arrested for the crime of being brown. Okay. Immigration agents detained a U.S. citizen for 10 days after he was accused of illegally entering the United States while reportedly visiting Arizona this month. But the Department of his family said, the Department of Homeland Security said Jose Hermosillo's arrest was the direct result of his own actions and statements. Yeah, sure, dude. Hermosillo, 19, who lives in Albuquerque, was detained near Nogales, Arizona on April 18th. They allege that he illegally entered the country from Mexico and was found without the proper immigration documents. Did you hear the 2 German tourists that got deported from Hawaii? That's been happening quite a bit. There is a dispute of some of the basic facts in the case. The Trump administration said the arrest occurred after Hermosillo approached Border Patrol agents in Arizona and identified himself as a Mexican citizen who entered the U.S. illegally, and the Department of Homeland Security posted what it says is a signed affidavit from Hermosillo that supports its claim. But according to Arizona public media, Hermosillo's girlfriend's aunt said that he did in fact say he was a U.S. citizen, but they didn't believe him, and that he probably would have been deported to Mexico if his family hadn't provided officials with his birth certificate and social security card. Yeah, I'm going to say that, like, the cops probably lied, because, like, there's no reason to think otherwise. Curb your authoritarianism. Tourism is going to crash over the next few months and years. 100%. Cops always lie. Yep. Many countries now tell tourists not to come to the U.S. as it's dangerous due to wild deportations. Yep. And I would second that. If you're not in the U.S. and you do not need to come here, don't. It's not worth it. There's literally nothing that is worth coming here right now. I mean, like, there's literally zero reasons, right? And, like, understand that if you do come, the likelihood of you being stopped and scrutinized by the Gestapo is high. So I mean, like, it's safer not to come. Okay. Yeah, and the guns. And he probably would have been deported to Mexico if his family hadn't provided officials with birth certificates and social security card. The Trump administration didn't immediately respond to MSNBC's request for comment. This isn't the first time Trump's immigration crackdown has swept up people entitled to full citizenship rights. In late January, I wrote about the indigenous people reported getting ensnared, an issue that led the Navajo Nation's president to advise tribal members to keep their certificate of degree of Indian blood and other identifications on them to essentially serve as their freedom papers in the event that immigration agents accosted them. Which, a thing that happened, by the way. I know several people with valid visas who stopped posting anything at all. Yep. Reporting for the Bulwark in February, Adrian Carrasquillo sounded the alarm about Puerto Ricans, who, to be clear, are U.S. citizens, getting caught in Trump's immigration crackdown as well. The Trump administration, again, this is a feature, not a bug. these aren't mistakes. It's like part of it's part of the plan. The Trump administration says it's targeting violent criminals. Nope. Many of those those affected haven't been accused of a crime at all. Visa recipients such as Maud Khalil and Rumesa Ozork know this firsthand, and too many Americans are learning that not even full citizenship can protect them from falling into the administration's clutches. Yep. So the latest person was this 19-year-old who was held in this Gestapo detention center for 10 days because they thought he was illegal. All PhDs. Yeah. I've got a feeling we're going to see a lot of that. I see more the brain drain. I see more people on Blue Sky from other countries talking about American things they're giving up, like clothes and alcohol. Yep. I don't blame them. Yeah, people in Asia are showing off their U.S. products free homes. Meanwhile, Walmart is going to get beer soon. The inevitable result is the fetishization of the so-called taboo. Yep. It's gonna hurt us when they give up Hollywood. I don't watch any movies. I mean, I watch like movies like on streaming services, but yeah. Speaking of movie night again this weekend, possibly I'm gonna say more yes than no. I'm gonna say more yes than no, unless something changes. Join us or just me Saturday night, guys. Yep. Feel free, folks. Yeah, risky business. I want to see a new horror movie. Sinners in an actual movie theater. War of the Worlds. That's actually a good one. That was entertaining. Elysium was good. That might be a good one to put on the list. All right, folks. We got time for just these last couple of ones. The writers of the Boys season 2 work for Trump now. Really? That's a shame. It's been forever since I actually went to a theater. Me too. If you want to leave suggestions in the server, we have a channel called the Movie Suggestions. Yes. And like that sucks because like the whole point of the Boys is incredibly like anti-fascist. Wasn't that show praised for its anti-authoritarian writing? Right, like it's explicitly like anti-fascist or anti-Nazi. Oh, it's okay. It's a joke. Okay. Good one. You got me. You got me, chat. Yeah, canceled. Dang wind socks. You guys got me. A-class trolling, okay? All of this because I called Rogan a windsock. Thank you. Grandma was part of the troll. I credit her fully. Well, hats off. I did watch Dating on the Spectrum season 1 yesterday, though. It's cute. I didn't even know that was a show. All right, folks. I think we are going to just finish. I had mixed feelings going in. Like, was it respectful? It was pretty darn sweet. That's good. I think we're gonna finish with this story. That's what I'm thinking. Trump says that he can't have a trial for all migrants that he wants to deport because, you know, screw the Constitution. Amid a tense battle over deportations, President Trump is now arguing undocumented migrants should not be given a trial, i.e. due process, which is entitled to them by, you know, the Constitution, where they could challenge being removed from the country. We're getting them out, and I hope we get cooperation from the courts because, you know, we have thousands of people that are ready to go out, and you can't have a trial for all these people. Like that is enough, right there, to like remove this president, right? Like that is enough to be like, okay, we need to impeach and remove this president. To say that like people, we just can't have like trials for people is absurd. Is absurd because you have to have due process. Okay? Because again, if these people don't have due process, then that means you do not have due process. Because like the next argument is like, look, we have too much criminals. It doesn't matter where they come from. Okay, we just don't have time to process all these criminals. Let's just throw them in jail or throw them in concentration camps, like on the other side of the continent. Correct, Jet. Like, I'm sorry, there's just no excuse for any of this. There's just no excuse for any of this. Honestly, despise the very concept of law. After all those years, I feel nothing. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry I have a bad reputation to uphold. I'll deny it all. Ah. It wasn't meant, the system wasn't meant, and we don't think there's anything that says, look, we're getting some very bad people, like killers, murderers, and drug dealers, really bad people, the mentally ill, like, what are you talking about? The mentally insane, this is just like the same bogus, like, xenophobic claim. They emptied out and said, okay, yeah, whatever, dude. A judge can't say no, you have to have it, and a judge can't say no, you have to have a trial. Yes, they can. Like, that's literally, like, in the Constitution. Like, that's why we're having, these freaking, court, cases. No, we're gonna have a very dangerous country if we're not allowed to do what we are entitled to do. He literally believes he's above the law. Yep. He is the law. He is the law. I mean, like, dude, what? There's nothing else to add to this, right? Like, this is like textbook authoritarianism. Like, the judiciary can't stop us. We should just be able to deport people with no due process, which means that anyone can be deported for any reason because there won't be due process to suss out what is actually happening here. Trump made a similar argument in a post to his conservative social media platform, contending they can't give everyone they want to deport a trial because it would take, without exaggeration, 200 years. Yeah, like, first of all, no. Second of all, and what? Even if that was true, like, who cares? And everyone deserves a trial. Everyone deserves due process. Genghis Khan has horde across the border from Mexico. Donald J. Trump. Such a thing is not possible to do. I mean, like, this is literally like Hitlerian rhetoric, right? Like, and I'm not even exaggerating to say that, like, this is literally the type of arguments that Hitler would use, right? When it comes to immigrants, when it comes to others. That was his argument for consolidating power to him, right? Because he said that he should be allowed, to unilaterally make these decisions for the good of the country. Which is exactly the same argument that Trump is making. And if they're unalive, then that's the whoopsies and one less person to deal with. Exactly. It's the age-old question of the chicken and the egg with no shell. Pretty positive we have hundreds of thousands of courtrooms across the country, so yes, it is possible. Right, like, and even if it wasn't possible, then that means we need more courts, right? And, like, that means that it's irrelevant whether it's actually impossible. It doesn't mean that, like, these people don't deserve due process, right? Pretty positive we have hundreds of thousands of courtrooms. It is possible. Schmagley, welcome. I find the stream a tough watch. I can see the growing sadness in your eyes. Mate, your president is now a despot and the U.S. is seen like a bloated banana republic by the rest of the world. So sorry for decent Americans. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sorry too. I'm sorry too. Not my president, but thanks. But yeah, I mean, like, look, it sucks, man. The comments came after the Supreme Court, in a brief order issued by early Saturday morning, temporarily blocking the administration from deporting a group of Venezuelan migrants alleged to be gang members under the Alien Enemies Act. So, yeah, I mean, like, who knows? We have no way of knowing if this is actually true. The government is directed not to remove any members of the putative class of detainees from the United States until further order of this court. The justices said Alito and Clarence Thomas dissented, of course. The Trump administration pushed back against the Supreme Court, calling its decision unprecedented and wrong. Who cares? Who cares? Solicitor General John Sauer said that these justices should reverse course and let lower courts weigh in on the issue first. Whatever, dude. The ACLU has appealed to the nation's highest court to stop migrants from being held in a Texas detention center from being removed, contending that they are being at risk of being deported without notice or an opportunity to be heard. A breach, they said, of Supreme Court's previous order that detainees are entitled to reasonable time to seek relief. These men were in imminent danger of spending their lives in a horrific foreign prison without ever having the chance to go to court, said ACLU attorney Lee Garrett. In a statement after the Supreme Court's order, we are relieved that the Supreme Court has not permitted the administration to whisk them away the way others were just last month. Also front and center of Trump's deportation effort is the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a migrant living in Maryland who was erroneously deported to El Salvador's concentration camp. The administration's border czar, Heinrich Himmler, defended Abrego's removal, telling ABC's This Week co-anchor Jonathan Karl said that they did the right thing and removed a public safety threat, even though, again, there's literally zero evidence of him being a public a safety threat. What I would give to critique this country from the outside, I found the stream a solid and empowering watch. Thank you. I'm watching America slowly come to where I'm at the ocean floor. And Trump is considering offering mothers $5,000 to bear children, but he won't let in outsiders, no brownies, also German and Canadian. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it's that kind of stuff is like, man, Nazi shit, okay? Like, Nazi shit. Want me to prepare some rooms and food ratios in advance? It ain't that bad, trust me. The administration alleged that Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13, which his attorneys and family deny. Again, the only thing that matters is evidence that is able to be proven in court, and none of that has happened. Is this what he meant by drill, baby, drill? Democrats have criticized Trump's actions in the case as violating due process rights because it is. Senator Chris Van Hollen was the first Democratic lawmaker to visit El Salvador, where he met Garcia. Several House Democrats were in El Salvador on Monday to advocate for his release. Quote, while Donald Trump continues to defy the Supreme Court, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is being held illegally in El Salvador after being wrongfully deported, said Democratic Representative Robert Garcia. That's why we're here to remind the American people that kidnapping immigrants and deporting them without due process is not how we do things in America. I mean, but like it is, right? Like, but it is. Yeah, YouTube chat is like the Wild West. All right, folks, it's time for me to get out of here. We'll be back on Monday, around 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I take that as a compliment. I asked my niece's army major husband if the British Army would be able to liberate the U.S. for some future dictatorship. He reckons we've enough tanks to maybe hold Disney World for about 6 hours. Yeah. I mean, like, don't hold Disney World. Why would you hold Disney World? Look, if you can hold the small area, okay? Just warn us in advance so we can go there. Yeah, can I just have asylum? Look, just land on the coast, okay? Hold the coast and get as many of us out of here as possible, okay? You can relay that message, harmless monkey. Hold the coast, okay? Hold the coast and just, like, ferry us out of here. Space Mountain. What is this, like a Fallout? Like, yeah, this is gonna end up like Fallout. Okay, I'll have a word. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Everyone, join us at Nuka World. Let's take Wall Street stock market. It's almost on the coast. I mean, as long as I can get there. I'll take that as a compliment. Wild West. Good memories, yeah. I've been to Space Mountain. A couple times. Yes, let's talk Fallout. No. But yeah, join us at Nuka World, where The British will be holding Nuka World to get out before the bombs drop. Father Elijah was the best ending in Fallout New Vegas. I gotta play that game. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't played it. I need to play that game. Carlos, great stream. Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you, Kirkenstein Monster. Don't worry, folks. We'll be signing out of here in just a moment. Tale of Two Wastelands for myself in terms of Fallout. All right, folks. It's time to get out of here. And get some food. Thank you all for joining, and thank you all for your support. You guys are what makes this channel go. Thank you guys. Thank you, Wolf Glenn, for the tier 1 sub. Thank you, Yellow King, and thank you, Heat, all for the tier 1 subs. I appreciate it. You guys are what makes this channel go. I appreciate the support. If you want to continue doing supporting this channel, keep doing what you're doing, folks. Thank you guys so much. Consider checking out the merch store. Exclamation mark tip, all the awesome stuff. See you tomorrow. Just don't storm any Disney World. No, tomorrow there's no stream. Remember, folks, no stream tomorrow. See you. Appreciate it, Harmless Monkey. No, thank you guys. Just not my pinky toe. Don't love that. Appreciate you guys being here. Don't forget, folks, tomorrow, no stream. Join the Discord if you want to keep up with the channel. And join us for movie night, okay? It's a fun little event, okay? It's cool. It's cool. And it's free. All right, folks. It's time for me to get out of here. Thank you all. I appreciate you guys. Ground Level News, thank you. Ladybug, thank you. AT just leaving me to work on nothing but my own thoughts. Sorry, Ground Level. I know. I want to keep it going, ADT. Let's go. All right, for sure. We'll try. I mean, like, I don't see why we couldn't. Maybe we'll just throw on Elysium on the Discord. I'm pretty sure I can stream it, so no worries. I'm like at 80% chance that we'll be able to stream it. AT Eats, we stay for last chatter prize. Peace and solidarity. Thank you. All right, folks. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one, Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. Thank you, Heat, and thank you, Michael Haster, for modding the chat. Yeah, someone will be there with something. Yeah, I mean, like, it sounds good to me. Elysium. All right, folks. Hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's true. 140 something? I can't do math. 145 left to 500. Bye-bye.